win 4-0 there as well. And apparently he is on the side of let's just go ahead and get this done and dusted. We move on to Glittering Ashes for game 1, and we do have a 12 pull, but not from this guy in the top right. He is Ence's Serral.
In the bottom left corner of the map from Dragon Phoenix Gaming 12, pulling it up, it is Rogue.
This is a really long map, 40. This is it's only beat by Pride, which we don't see, so that's a bold thing to do. I mean, usually bringing the cast down with a bunch of stats can be a bit annoying to the casual players out there, but I think there's like a 6-second difference between this or is a 4-second difference between this and 2,000 atmospheres, which is the most common map, right?
This is 39 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
35, right?
And 4 seconds maybe doesn't matter much to you guys out there, but in the game of ZVZ, in the game of StarCraft, early cheeses, 4 seconds can be a big deal. I mean, I don't want to hype this up as being a bad idea, of course. It's just, it is so risky. He really is saying, like, I'm going to start this off, like, just controlling the flow of this best of and showing you that I'm willing to do anything and everything in this best of 5, as he also pulls the drones.
Here we go. Fast, aggressive, everything we kind of expect as Serral. We'll not know about it until this Overlord, perhaps, but even then, these lings are going to start turning. And Tristan, I forgot there was rocks there, so yeah, you're not going to see these lings and drones at all. And Serral is in the dark until these units move up his ramp, so he does not know what's going on. His pool is about to finish. His hatchery is about to be done. He needs to make sure he's going to start up a few units here right away to Queen's couple lings, but here come the units, and now Serral knows what he's up against. Let's see how the defense goes.
Yeah, he's reacting as if it's not a big deal. It's no problem.
Block his own spines.
Yeah, that's not the greatest.
Oh, still blocking his own spine. Bro, no.
All right, Serral is starting his own spine, but it's already been pounced upon. That is a quick cancel right there. Serral just tucks all of his drones into a pocket. His lings are on the way. The drones are being pulled. This is going to be it. This is the stand that Serral is going to make before Rogue spine crawlers are done. Is this a mistake from Serral? He's lost so many drones already.
Yeah.
And doesn't have nearly as many lings. So this seems like it is done. And I think Serral knows it as well.
This was just ugly, right? Because it was like drones running around all over, taking a fight without lings. The lings, his own lings got caught on the ramp a little bit. Spines come down to the low ground, and this is basically it. Serral has to make a last stand right here and now, or do something about this, because otherwise he's in a lot of trouble. A couple of spines are going to start working on his hatchery, and well, I have no idea where you take this. We've got spines leapfrogging forward in Serral. I have absolutely no idea what he's about to do.
I think he's just shocked.
I think he's just dead,
yeah, it's like he saw this and there was no reaction on his face. Hey, Rogue takes game 1. But it still felt like at the end there, that was just a lot of shock. Just being like, wow, that really was over. I really can't do anything. I don't think Serral liked that very much.
Yeah, that was... I feel like he just was not mentally prepared for it at all, right? It's like, it shows up and you're like, wait, what am I going to do exactly? He built the spine and not a good position, right? Like, in the mineral line, I feel like is not the best.
Yes.
I don't know, like, everything was a little bit wrong, and it didn't even really come down to the spines of Rogue. Like, yes, they forced the issue.
Right.
But Serral lost everything in the drone fight already, and it wasn't even a question of numbers. It was just Rogue.
Yeah, a couple things. Yeah, I agree with everything. So the first thing was that spine crawler was in kind of an odd place. I'm not really sure how much practice you have defending against this in general, honestly, because we are still kind of into the new map pool, but it's been out for a few weeks. More specifically, do you have a lot of practice defending this on Glittering Ashes? Probably not. And then you're not necessarily prepared for it. I think you have to be prepared against Rogue, that he's going to do something very aggressive, very cheesy, but specifically this, maybe not so much. And then, yes, the spine crawlers are going to force the issue. So Serral, you know, ideally he can wait for his own lings and then even a queen that he had gotten to the natural, right? Like that would be very, very easy, but the spine crawlers were the timer. We have seen occasionally some Zergs respond to that by realizing they don't have a strong response and then abandoning ship and going down to the natural. But that creates a lot of its own problems as well. Rogue doing what Rogue does best, really. Not just being super aggressive early on or playing aggressive ZVZ, but just like making a statement right off the bat that he's not going to give any mercy. That's for sure.
Yeah, Rogue shows up and says these casters, man. Gonna make them look real stupid. My goat gonna be the only one on the desk after this. Do we throw a goat after this series, EG? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I feel like we have to make it really clear which goat is which, though. I don't have anything with me.
This one's Rogue goat.
I know this one is Rogue. Currently, the one on top is Rogue, guys.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because he's up 1-0.
That's very true.
See that prediction from me putting the Rogue goat on top? I already knew. Before the game started.
Those are the real prediction codes.
These are the real prediction codes, yes.
Yeah. All right, no 12 pull this time around on Berlingrad. In the top left, already down a game. He is Team Ence's Serral.
Bottom right-hand side of the map, up 1-0, nice and easy. Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Rogue.
You know, it's not the first time that Serral has had to be, I guess, basically slapped first and then had to recover afterwards. In fact, I distinctly remember a couple of ZVZs because, you know, there's also times where Serral did just have to deal with everyone thinking that the only thing he could do was cheese him. So he was like, oh, of course you are, and then he had to deal with it. Occasionally, he would still lose out to it, and then he recovered as the rest of the best of 5 went on. But as Serral does not often get knocked out in tournaments in general, and not 3-0, I don't think that is going to happen. It did happen kind of recently. TSL Finals versus Dark, right? Wasn't too great. Got 0-4, didn't he?
Kind of recently?
I mean, okay, last year. My bad, guys.
I mean, you can push some timelines around a little bit there if you want something correct, but it has happened. I feel like that series I will defend to this day that Serral got build order loss after build order loss.
Yeah,
it was very unfortunate. You definitely ended up behind just as each game started. But yeah, it does happen. You know, on a rare occasion, the series can get away from you. I think Serral's also really good at resetting after that first game, though, and just saying, right, you know what, dumb loss. Time to just 3-0 him from a 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, there's a reason that he doesn't often get knocked out completely. 0 points on the board, but it happens just rarely. Rogue would be one of those guys where if he said, yeah, you just 3-0'd Serral, you missed it, I'd be like, oh, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, fair enough. But no, Serral's really good at resetting. Rogue is very good at keeping the momentum going, but not necessarily by doing the same build over and over. We do have ourselves just... speed starting up for Rogue much later.
Well, he started with a pool
Started
first.
the pool first, yeah.
Yeah, 16 pools, so then he's kind of in this weird place where he's up a queen, but obviously a little bit behind, typically a little bit behind on eco. He was actually drawn ahead for a few moments there. It doesn't make the biggest of differences, but what is significant is that he took his gas so much later, so his link speed will be later here, and that is, okay, kind of why he's in as good of an eco spot, because the gas was later on.
Be not the most expected of openers, but if Rogue was thinking that Serral is, I guess, the type to do some revenge or early attacks, Serral can, but not this game. Lots of scouting being done. Going to see the actual situation, how much less gas Rogue has accrued. But this now turns into, with both of them getting lings in third hatches, there you have it. What is the mid-game plan? And Rogue does take that third hatch as I expected Serral to do, but Serral actually gets an evolution chamber first.
Yeah, gonna drop the evolution chamber, get a few more drones on the way, which he's currently just trailing behind in. As this one drone's gonna become a Rotoron as well. Looks like we are obviously gonna keep link speed though, right? Couple seconds for finishing, so he does let that finish up. It almost feels like he could maybe start doing something a little bit weird, and he does start Carapace, so maybe something like Roach focused here. A little bit of a timing further down the line. Make it just look like roaches, but then you're actually going to play a lot of lings, and that could be where you catch Rogue off guard, who is just going straight to this lair and additional gases. I mean, there's a roach roar now, but the lair is pretty quick. The gases are quick.
Oh.
Yeah, let's see.
I think that Serral is being a little tricky, and Rogue, I mean, he knows that there's a lot of things that can be done behind this wall. It sets up... Oh, the lack of scouting. Were those lings even seen? Now he sees them running across the map, but it's not exactly what he expected. Thought that was going to be roaches, a very slow game. Suddenly 20 lings barreling down the map are going to be able to jump on top of Rogue's third base and get that quick, I assume, cancel, but he's, yeah, there we go. Very last second to let that cancel. And then make sure that his wall and the natural is set up.
Love that Rogue drops his Carapace upgrade as well, by the way. So now we're going to both end up kind of going towards Ling Roach a little bit here. Rogue still does have that lair in his favor, but of course no third hatchery. He does use the lair for the Spire. But I'm kind of intrigued about this Carapace upgrade because it's very rare. It feels like that you go Carapace when you go in with a Spire. Sometimes you see like melee upgrades initially.
Sure, yeah.
It's the Carapace is usually more like, oh, I want to Ling Roach here. So yeah, just kind of intrigued by that. There's a Baneling Nest going down. We'll see how this continues through.
Yeah, Baneling Nest can be very helpful for dealing with any run-bys you're going to be very annoyed by, but also obviously can go into just a lot of Banelings later down the road. Rogue's only going to be able to afford a certain amount of things, basically, on 2 bases, though, and most of it should be going into the actual Spire units. I was interested in Rogue's +1 Carapace and now even +1 melee, so double upgrades, but I was also interested in what Serral was following this up with. I actually really thought he was going to do the Ling Roach attack with +1 Carapace, but then he did just go for the Lings and got the Roaches kind of in their standard safe situation of just defending a base. And I kind of wish that he had done it, because I wonder if Rogue could have defended it, but another third cancel is really nice for Serral.
Yeah, maybe Serral saw the setup of Rogue and was like, no, I don't believe you going for like mutas or something, so maybe I'm not going to be able to kill you. Great cancel again, though. I mean, the more you deny these bases, the more you deny the gases. Only 6 mutas on the way up initially, so Serral should have plenty to really deal with that at first. And of course, Rogue is going to want to just keep on building mutalists throughout this game. That's what he's set up for. He's not really set to do much else. Obviously, he can make lings and so on, but they're to accompany the mutas. But yeah, not having that third just means less gas, and less gas means less mutas eventually, and that's where Serral maybe can still hit some deadly timings further down the line as the queens get set up, and plenty of those in production. The Overseer scouting the mutas as they spawn, so Serral has full confirmation of what's happening here in Game 2.
I do recall a couple of maps going against Serral in a similar situation where he was in control with mutas, and then someone just ran to the middle of a map like Submarine, also a shorter map, and I was able to defeat him. But is that his plan, or is he actually going to play the macro game? Once upon a time, years ago, he kind of considered that to be his weakness, playing against mutas, and it still feels like something that he's not super comfortable against, but he's had to face it so many times from so many good players, and I think he at least has his own type of plan that he does find comfortable. In this case, lots of queens, spores, the standard setup, right, but then actually just taking it slow and steady. No roaches going across the map, trying to buy some time, right into the infestation pit, the hive, the hydras, all will be on the way, which means also that Rogue can actually start his recovery process, finally gets up his third base, finally going to get drones on there and gases, but it is that gas that makes Rogue's kind of mid-game plan here really difficult to execute. There's a lot of gas that goes into mutas and a lot that goes into banelings.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of gas all going into that as we see Serral just dropping some infestors. Hydralisk then is on the way, and he's very happy to just say, you know what, I'm just going to take my bases slow, take them steady, get the setup, and eventually have an army that just pushes across the map and completely destroys you is oftentimes what you kind of aim for here. As Rogue trying to find himself a queen, but that will be transfused up to HP again. And I mean, for Rogue, it's time for him to maybe start thinking about what exactly is the plan, because it already feels like he's not really breaking Serral very much. Do you think there's much opportunity if he just keeps spamming lings and mutas, or do you think he's got another option?
I mean, it is. The thing is, I was about to say that it feels like a perfect setup for these two, where if you were to say what would the game look like, I could say, well, either a 12 pull or maybe muta versus like defensive Serral with queens and infestors. So if I'm thinking again what I expect from Rogue, I do expect Rogue just to somehow, I mean, I don't even know about maxing out, right? We're still in pretty low economies, but yeah, just continuing to invest into a mid-game army and trying to pull Serral out of position. I'm not sure he's the type to transition without first attempting a knockdown.
Yeah. Well, there's a few Banelings morphing in, so we'll see how those go. That's where the infestors are going to be really nice. Obviously, you can fungal the mutas and keep them in place, but also being able to fungal Banelings and stop those from rolling into your hydras can be really essential a lot of the time. So that's something to perhaps be watching out for here, as you do have those mutas still just cruising around.
25 Banelings. That's a decent number at 9 minutes into the game, but it's just not... That's not the most impressive number, especially if they get fungled. But it's definitely a number that points towards Rogue wanting to be aggressive. He's got them actually building up on the left side while he sees that Serral tries to take the right. Now, Serral does have this creep spread that can sometimes be a talking point about ZVZ. It helps the Banelings roll a little bit faster, but it also does give Serral potentially some advance notice, which he might need.
Yes, as these Banes start rolling through, let's see how Serral deals with it. He was moving forward a little bit. He's got a lot of his lings turning around, but those are Banelings. He needs to make sure he knows that those are Banelings. As, oh my goodness, they are in the natural expansion. They're just going to blow up a drone line. And, well, into the main base we go. 16 drones already down. I mean, this is very expensive for Rogue. I think Serral has the right idea.
Yeah.
If you're running that many Banes into my mineral line, I am running my army across the map. A few Banes don't do anything here initially, and there's just no units here. You need these units to be able to overwhelm, but where the heck are they? The few of these Balins already being picked away at. You just need to make sure they don't connect on the Hydras. They will not. And Festas are just about still alive here, and Rogue, what are we actually going to do about this army? Right now, it feels like a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah, I think a whole bunch of nothing is right. Even if he does make Banelings as much as his bank allows, I don't know if it's going to be the most impressive number again. It really felt like Rogue, from the situation he was put in with the openers, was kind of just hoping that Serral would mess up. Either, well, GG, Serral takes game 2, but he kind of hoped that Serral would mess up in some way, not transition properly, be a little too scared perhaps, or maybe overly aggressive, not enough units, right? And Serral just kind of played that middle of the road safe style. And then it felt like Rogue really was hoping that he would just find the Hydras not being paid attention to. Like, oops, I hope I kill 20 Hydras and 10, 20 drones. And instead he found all drones, which sometimes is good, but not when that's really your one punch and that's it.
All right, I guess you got to reset the goats, CG.
They're even again.
There you go. They're even. They look kind of cute on the desk, honestly.
They do.
Yeah, we should have had them here all the time. Never mind the silly desk. This is the best desk.
They're also really soft, guys.
They're really soft. Why do you think I've been trying so hard to win ZG?
So you can have this one soft plushie?
It's the only way to get it. I'm pretty sure you can't go into the shops and buy these. I think you have to win the
You're like that person that goes to a carnival and spends like $100 to get a Pokemon plushie, and you're like, this was worth 100%.
Just that story. that anecdote hits way too true for my liking. And you know it does, so please stop.
I may know that. You feel like, if you've invested too much, this is the only way to win once you've invested so much into it.
I will stand by that decision for the rest of my life.
All right. Well, that's your choice. It's your prerogative.
That's a good choice.
Anyways, we got 2 games that were, this one obviously was longer. There was a little more to be discussed, a bunch of what ifs, right? But at the end of the day, it was another just like, oh, yeah, okay, that's what was expected. Serral wins. All right, move on. Not necessarily super back and forth or even a lot about mechanics, really, right? Like, we haven't seen like a bunch of micro battles and, oh, they missed out in a drone, they got supply blocked. No, it's just been the build orders doing their thing and putting one person up in the situation, in this case, Serral, getting those third denials repeatedly was pretty good.
Yeah, I actually think that was really important because that really slowed Rogue down a lot. And slowing Rogue down really means that, to me, it felt like Rogue was always stalled out in this game. And a lot of that is just the third not being online and just felt like he never got much done. Like you say, he's hoping for some Banes to hit and, get some drones, and he hit the Hydras. But it never felt like it was enough, being scary enough, maybe because of those third denials. As we go into game 3, and we start off in the top right-hand side with the Ent Esports Blue Zerg Serral.
And in the bottom left for Team DPG, he is Rogue. So kind of nice for Serral to mix things up. He was the first one to add the evolution chamber, kind of convince Rogue, hey, I'm going to be really slow and steady, wins the race type, and then boom, bunch of lings pop out. They don't win the game right off the bat, but they give him that control that I think Rogue was really hoping to get in turn. He wanted to do as greedy of a build technology-wise against someone who might have been playing that slow style, right? Because if he looks at that and thinks, oh, slow and steady, all right, then I can fit in the mutas before he attacks me, then he's right. If it was just roaches slowly coming across the map, eventually. But instead it was those lings, really pinned him into a particularly bad situation where you could see how his style of play might look if he would have had his foundation, but he just didn't.
Let's see what happens on 2000 Atmospheres. This is one of the maps where, especially with the hatch gas pool start, I want to get a little hopeful about maybe a bit of a longer game.
Yeah.
Would like to see a bit of roach on roach even. I know that doesn't always happen when you've got Korea versus Europe, but I do feel like I'd love to see one game between these two where we get that kind of epic late game. I know I said earlier that I don't think it necessarily happens, but it would be cool, right? Because I remember at BlizzCon watching Serral fight Rogue in that late game. It was epic. It's kind of, it was the pinnacle of ZVZ in my eyes. I would love to see a bit of that. Should we be so lucky? We'll find out.
I really wish it could happen again. I think it will happen again one day.
One day, yeah.
One day, but it is so hard to match that level. And the excitement that was going along with it, too. I mean, it's been years since that happened, but remembering the feel of the crowd, too, I think both of us were lucky enough to be there in person, right? Was probably unmatched.
Unique, for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember anything else. Like people, like we usually get a lot of strays from the BlizzCon Convention Center coming in to watch StarCraft, but the number of people who just never watched StarCraft before sitting on the ground to watch the ZVZ that then led to Serral being the first non-Korean champion, it was really cool.
That was a fantastic day of StarCraft 2. It was amazing stuff as we get our third hatchery down on either side here. Ling speeds are coming, and we do see Serral just going to be the first to drop a Baneling Nest down. Let's see if Rogue wants to skip that and maybe go straight towards the Roach-Roar, and if so, he should be the first to, hit up a few Lings, but he's just going to drop a Baneling Nest of his own. So pretty much the same idea from either player at the moment, and we wait to see where the differences might arise a bit further down the line.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the differences right now. As tiny as they are, Rogue a little bit faster to some drones, and Serral's right behind him. I mean, very, very small differences. Just the number of Lings they made, the Baneling Nest timing. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of a test, and I'm certain years ago, back when there was a little less of an opinion as far as the non-Korean Zergs, we saw a lot of tests. And by test, I mean kind of just 20 Lings, 4 Banelings, trying to kill someone who actually wasn't on your level. But we don't really see that anymore, and as much as Rogue got a cheeky win with an easy 12-pull drone pull in the first game, I think there is a lot of respect between these two players, and they're going to have to really think very hard about how to actually out-strategize each other, and then it might actually come down to how do they beat each other with mechanics, which is, I mean, I don't, even on like an even playing field, no talk about servers or anything like that, I'm not sure who would win.
Yeah, it is funny because like you say, it is, a micro check basically, right? It's like, hey, can you micro? And it's like nowadays they don't need to do the mic checks. They can just get on with the show. So definitely a kind of a cool evolution, right? When you talk about kind of like looking years and years back and how matchups have evolved. And we really do just see less Ling Bane action in general in ZVZ now because that level of micro has just improved to the point across the board where most players are like, you know what? Ain't worth it. Let's just get set up into the Roach game and let's strategize from there.
Not to mention, those days, I think it was really just, okay, do I win with aggression? Oh, I didn't? Okay, tap out. Well, now it's, people are, they try to play out the game and have a nice foundation, maybe like Queens helping to defend, and, let's get this game going. But we do have still sometimes high-octane games. Not necessarily this one. Rogue is going to send 2 Banelings into a wall. It is a full wall. There you go. Lose 1 right off the bat. They both get up their +1 missile. They both got up their gases. Rogue's gases were, I would say at this level, even significantly faster, or quite a bit faster. And he is, again, adding on gases a bit faster. But I'm not actually sure that might just be for build order, like clean build order, right? It's such a small difference.
Yeah.
And we're going into Roach versus Roach, which gives us hope for a real mid to late game ZVZ.
Yeah, hope for real mid to late game ZVZ. I like it. Overlord speed going to come through pretty quickly here from Serral. We'll see if that's just move your overlords around the map thing, or if maybe he wants to also drop a little bit. Rogue is not far behind him. It is really just matching up on either side at the moment. Serral does seem to be just a few drones ahead, just straight up overall, so that's one thing to keep in mind. He's a little bit down on army supply as it stands. He didn't build his first 7 roaches as quickly, so Rogue maybe being a little bit safer there. I mean, he is droning, so it's not like that was going to turn into aggression, so that's a slight win for Serral. A little bit of greed going his way.
Yes, absolutely. He does start up the Overlord speed a bit faster, but Rogue's right behind him. Finally, one of the bigger differences is Rogue adding on the Transport Overlord for a little bit of harassment. They both max out on roaches. Actually, Rogue even adds on a couple of Spore Crawlers.
He's
I was surprised by that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously just doesn't quite have a full scout, as we do see Serral is coming through to check himself as to what is going on, and we'll just see his opponent kind of just set up into roaches right again. There's not a whole lot to see here as we're thinking about 4th base in the next few moments. This Overseer of Rogue ends up leaving as well. So again, just little things that definitely putting Serral ahead, just little by little. As that Dropper Lord does come across the map. We'll see if that can do much. I mean, it's going to be spotted by a hatchery, so if Serral does check that, that's nice to know about. Obviously, saving your drones is usually pretty good. Yeah,
Serral also gets a couple of Spore Crawlers to help out against these drop positions. That's where Rogue put him, to stop the Overlord drop coming in, and now Serral's just right behind, especially as he scouted the Overlord flying around. Tunneling Claws comes down, and that is going to also need some detection. Do we see Serral do the same thing? So far, they've been so similar, but the +1 Carapace now very far behind for Serral. Still, he starts it, but still 25, 30 seconds. And then his own Overlord transport, is later. And Rogue finally found some success with these Banelings. 9 drones go down. In the main base, no response from Serral. A lot more will fall as well. 15 I think those last few, last one, 16 in total. Serral had boosted his drones a little bit, but very quickly Rogue takes the lead in the economy.
That's massive.
Maxing out.
Yeah, that's actually massive in a game that's so similar otherwise. Now Rogue drops Nidus. He's going to go all out with his aggression. And you know what really allowed Rogue to be so good with this, I think, is that he's got all of his overlords on Serral's side of the map moving. So for Serral, you're like looking at the minimap, it's so hard to spot that one overlord that is moving with units inside, right? You're just like, oh yeah, that's his scouting. You disregard it, and he completely disregarded anything on the minimap there. So I thought that was actually really cool from Rogue, and it's definitely a little something to keep in mind is, like we say, Rogue is about to amp up the aggression just as Serral's now dropped off in workers. So Serral's going to have to get to defending to get back into this. He will counterattack a little bit himself like that if he can get a few drones here. He's going to get a couple banes in. Rogue didn't realize the banelings were coming, so he loses 13 drones. However, he's going to jump on Serral's fourth base up the right side of the map. Serral is going to have a couple roaches in the main as well. They will not do too much. His fourth base dead, though. And Rogue now Nidusing the main, and Serral is just being pulled all over the place already in some trouble.
And he's also just in a worse position overall. His +2 does finally finish up, but his +1 carapace is not done and nowhere close to being done as the action heats up. Main base does let some roaches get out, but I guess Serral's okay there. Maybe less okay in the front lines. Gonna push it away for now. He is starting to replace those roaches he lost, but with Tunneling Claws also being available, any roaches popping out that Nidus was going to be a real pain. And Serral, I think, knew it too. He shook his head when he realized it wasn't going to be killed fast enough. This means that Serral will get to the 2-1, will get his own burrow, and he'll stabilize, but losing that fourth base, still down 9 drones. He loses more to the harassment. Overall, Rogue's just playing the better game.
Yeah, he's just hitting so many drones, right? I think that's a big part of this, is Serral is now down 9 workers again. We'll see what he can continue to do defensively here. Upgrades have evened out. So any larger fight, in theory, should be in Serral's favor, but you've got to be super afraid of. Nidus is in your main. You're going to have to split some units away to deal with that. Serral does get the good start to this fight, but he needs to be cleaning up that Nidus in the main base. He's got units on the way there as he splits this fight in 2 directions. He's got more Ravagers too. Keep that in mind. More battles available will help, and some battles hitting as Rogue is busy elsewhere, but the Nidus is denied, and Serral is now chasing this Roach Force back across the map.
Yeah, Rogue wasn't able to get anything out in the main base. We did have a Nidus from off the left side that does unload 15, 12 roaches. They're maybe not going to find so much cleaning up that creep spread, but Serral seems to, as I've said, stabilize. And by taking a decent fight to once again, or another one perhaps over on the right side, the amount of corrosive biles he has is certainly helping. Then maybe he can actually push Rogue well and truly back, but Rogue really wants to pile on the aggression. He's actually got no other plan here. While Serral slaps down a Spire, Rogue is continuing to remax on roaches and build more and more Nidus Worms, hoping that eventually Serral really is not paying attention. And it does feel like it's a matter of time with Rogue pushing him on 3 fronts. This Nidus Worm is not going to be taken down too quickly, but quickly enough by looks of things, as even Serral realizes, oh, nothing's popping out of there.
Yeah, Rogue's just, like, not worth it, right? I mean, if you start getting a few roaches out, unless you had Queens ready to transfuse, you were just putting your roaches into a death trap. Rogue just not finding anything. And look at Serral, he's sneaking up a Spire. In a game like this, a few meters can go such a long way. Deny a few overlords behind your base, so the Nidus is stopped. There's no anti-air on the map from Rogue, so immediately his larger armies have to back away or take free damage. Rogue is starting a Spire of his own now. As Serral's getting aggressive, this is going to be kind of fun. Serral moving forward, now pulling back. There is going to be another group of roaches coming his way into the natural. Serral not in position to deal with this. He's got a few units there. He might lose the Roach Roar and start to build another immediately. Of course, Serral still without a 4th base. Something else to keep in mind. He's had a lower drone count, but he's also getting caught here a little bit. Now he's starting to build those mutas. They will get up to help, but will they be soon enough, or will Serral take too much damage getting there?
This split wasn't particularly good, but it might be enough to allow the mutas to come out. 13 mutas, not going to kill roaches that fast, but certainly if they have roaches helping them, they will be able to push Rogue back. But Rogue is still the one in control. He's the one that's up in supply. His Spire is also on the way, so the mutas won't be the end-all be-all, as he also grabs a couple of Ravagers before he gets out of there. The Nidus from the main base has the ability to unload. Oh, only one Roach does come out. Serral now going very dedicated to the mutas, not just adding on mutas, but also the +1 flyer attack. This is a bit of a it feels like a Hail Mary as he realizes this game is quickly spiraling out of control. He still doesn't have a 4th base, and actually Rogue is just going to take map 3 as Serral realizes it is too far gone.
Too far gone, absolutely true. This was a game where I think we've got 2 very well-matched players, but Rogue is like the aggressor initially, right? Oh, don't move the goats into long cameras, each. We need to be watched. Okay, I've got no idea where this is going anymore. But to finish my point, I do actually really believe like it's one of those scenarios where being the aggressor benefits you so much because as the defender you can't slip up, but as the aggressor, you're the player that doesn't have a chance to slip up and end up falling behind. So definitely something to see. Is that the move? You're just pulling Serral down the step?
Yeah, just down the step. He's not down yet. He's not down yet.
All right, we're gonna go and figure out more things with the goats, and with that, we'll be back after a break.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final match of the quarterfinals. We have now Rogue up 2-1 versus Serral. Some of these games going by pretty quickly determining at least who's in the victorious position. And it was Rogue who got the momentum and then was able to just close it out within a couple of minutes. Pretty good.
It was honestly, I mean, you start off in those banelings. This is where it started, right? You kill a bunch of drones and Serral's immediately on the back foot. And Rogue just never let off the gas pedal. And it's like I said, I really think you get two players who are very evenly matched in this sort of multitasking. And eventually, if you're just on the back foot, that means you're on the back foot and Rogue can win out there. And, initially Serral was doing a really good job as well, right? And it just felt there was one moment where Serral, honestly, for me, was just moving across the map for no reason while he was getting to mutas.
Right.
And if he just didn't move across the map, he wouldn't have had those roaches get in or the Nidus get up. And then he's not having a bad split at home. And then the mutas are out, and actually, maybe it's a good game. Of course, he's still down at 4th base, so maybe he felt pressure to do something. And if it's muta versus muta and your opponent's on 4th base, that's also not good for you. But I think at that stage, you have to take it step by step rather than looking into the future, right? And the step one was, I think, just making sure you didn't get pulled out of position before the mutas were out.
Yeah, hard to say if he just was thinking this through, like 1 second, 2 second, got to go across the map. Wait, no, I don't. Or if it was a little bit of autopilot, there we go, where he just thought, like, I should get across the map. Wait, no, I really can't. And then, oh, okay, well, by then it's already too late because Rogue really had been just pressuring at every single moment. There was no time for Serral to breathe or to have to, he couldn't really think longer than a couple of seconds before he had to react, which also created that bad split at the very end. And now we are on this guy's last life in the top left. Down a game. He is Serral.
Bottom right-hand side. Nice short map for a pretty aggressive player. In the red from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, we have got Rogue.
Hoping to make it a bit of a more likely road to a Korean winning the season finals. Take out Serral, who's won 3 of them, looking for his 4th, by the way. And that would really help. That would really help. And for Rogue, you look at this path to potential victory, and I think it is going to be, I could probably defeat Scarlet at CVZ. I think Rogue's going to feel confident. And then I would actually assume that it's Maru in the finals. I would.
Yeah, I think based off of recent histories, right, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Spawn pool at the front here for Serral is an anti-12 pool. Drone pool.
Yes.
Just wants to block the spines being there, so then the spines can't cover spines if they have to walk to the low ground. But of course, we can see that's not going to be kind of important in this game. What that does mean is maybe, in a very rare situation, if Rogue kind of plays aggressively in vain, there's not going to be that kind of wall for the queen to sit in sometimes. So, just something to point out early game. But yeah, no, to go back to the Maru point, I do kind of agree. Clem definitely struggles against Maru. Because I think Maru is just so good at not dying and taking it to the late game, and that's just not how Clem likes to play, right? He wants to fight. He wants to end the game. And while he's taking steps to improve that, Maru's late game TVT is just really, really good. So I would be terrified if I'm Clem going into tomorrow's match.
Yeah, I do think now that Rogue is up 2-1 that the more likely scenario is that we have an all-Korean Grand Finals. So it is Rogue versus Maru, but the chances for every other combination still exist. Scarlet could surprise us, actually get to the final. Serral could bring it back in this series, and hey, Clem could actually show that TVT is not a weakness.
How sick would it be if Scarlet just won the season finals?
It'd be so sick and also so surprising, right? Like,
biggest upset in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. We always throw it out there because it deserves to be said that she could do it. But it just, it always seems like the North American representation has been capped at the round of 8, if not the group stage. But that might change here. But we are on the ZVZ. This one, for now, is guaranteed next ZVZ as well, as we get our mirror matches set up. But we have, again, third hatch to third hatch. Serral was able to play around with this expectation on the second map and go for a Roach Warren, actually. But nope, it's more like the last game these two had, where it was really neck and neck. The slight differences between the timing of the gases really was it until the Banelings arrived in the Overlords.
Yeah, no, I actually even thought Serral was a little ahead, right? That little bit of greed and stuff. He didn't build Roaches as quick. But like I say, the Banes come in the Overlords, and it was honestly something I thought Serral was going to do himself. And he did a bit further down the line, just not to the same sort of effect. So, yeah, this game, mirroring it up for the moment. Serral is going to be a few drones ahead in a moment or so. Again, really nothing too major just yet. The big thing about this map is it's just so short, so you have to be super careful teching up, because if you're trying to tech up and your opponent is just going to build units, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's our shorter map. It's not Beckett, but it is our shorter map. And the Ling gets into the main base. It's going to be looking for a potential lair time. Oh, it actually, I think it stopped outside of seeing that little hatchery.
I think so too. So no information to really be gained there, as Rogue trying to pick up info as well. Serral keeping those Lings back defensively, knowing he wants to stop Rogue getting the scout too. As we continue to build up drones, we're going to 40 plus, and Serral's going to start at +1 missiles. Rogue does morph in a few Banes. We'll see if they can get up to much, but I don't think Serral's going to be caught too off guard. His Rotron coming down while Rogue is just going to take those gases, and that's where we set up right now.
Yeah, without a Roach Warren.
Yeah.
I'm kind of expecting he's going to be trying to get to that Spire, but it's like a lair would be late for that.
Yeah, there's no lair either, right?
So it's something that Serral also is going to have to be figuring out. Oh, yeah, that's a bit dangerous, just a bit, but one Baneling does not one-shot drones.
Yeah, it's just dangerous in case something else happens.
Exactly.
Now those drones are low. Carapace upgrade, I was going to say, I think with 3 gases this quickly, maybe like just Roach Ling, right? And just kind of go aggressive, right? There's no lair or anything. Something that Serral will see again, so he's got to start figuring this out, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the gas count, kind of realizing maybe you don't have a lair, you got gases faster than I do. What are you possibly doing? Because in comparison, Serral's second and third gas only just now finished. So he's got his gases up, he's got his lair on the way. And again, to me, I think Serral's just got a question. What the heck are you doing, Rogue? Because he builds more drones. Rogue's building his units, and he is absolutely set up to keep this going as he builds more gases once again. Getting ready, maybe morphing a few Ravagers with this incoming attack.
A lot of Ravagers. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of gas. Serral is getting as much scouting as really is possible, and I guess trying to toe the line between under-defending and over-defending. So
stop droning.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there is such thing as over-defending, where you build too many roaches and the other guy gets a lair going, gets up 10 drones, but much worse is under-defending, and then you just straight up lose. So
yeah.
Serral really needs to not do that, but more drones are on the way. This could be it. Rogue's going to be coming across the map. +1 Carapace, so much Roachling, and Serral's at almost, he's top 20 workers, 21 workers.
And he's about to be momentarily supply blocked. Okay, the Overlord just now finishes, but only one Overlord, right? So he can't even build that much. He started another drone. He starts an Evo Chamber. Now he's going to cancel that, build a Spine Crawler. He's realizing what's going on. Finally, couple spines on the way. I mean, that's a good way to spend your money right now because, quite frankly, you do not have a lot of free supply. He starts up 2 more Overlords. I mean, Rogue's already here. It's a small map. Serral, why are we on 64 drones? What did you see that made you believe you could go this high?
I'm not sure. I mean, all the gas has been used by Rogue to be put into Banelings. Not even really Ravagers, not any Ravagers whatsoever. But you know what? Serral doesn't have any either. It's do or die here for Serral if he wants to continue his chances to get into that round of 4, but it doesn't seem very likely. He's forced to pull the drones away, as unfortunately they still connect on the right side. The Queens are going down, the Roaches are going down. Serral's got 14 more Roaches on the way, but Rogue is coming in here with Lings to get that surround. The Spine Crawler helping just a little bit is not going to be enough to make up for this 20 supply difference. I think this is it, Wardy.
Yep, Rogue is just going to keep on moving. His reinforcers arrive quickly. He's into the natural now. Fueling showing up as well. Needs to let those in, right? Just get rid of this spine. Get rid of a few more drones and guarantee your lead in this game. He's starting up a lair. He's starting up 1+1 missiles behind this as well. As you are going to see the drones continue to fight here, but Serral's now down over 10 workers. More Lings streaming in as Rogue knows he can keep on pressuring through. I really thought with the Banes crashing on the Roaches that maybe Rogue had lost a little bit too much, but the supply does not lie. And I mean, quite frankly, you can just see there's a lot more units down here. A couple of Ravagers as well. Even if Rogue backs off for the moment, he's got other things on the way that's going to benefit him. He's got a massive worker lead. His biggest issue right now is just going to be the fact he doesn't have Roach speed. But that's something he can fix soon, as obviously these Lings, they don't care about Roach speed. They're going to go in. They're getting a surround, and Rogue is just going to come through, storm over this army for the moment. And now, back away again. Maybe just waiting for some upgrades, but I mean, it really is just tough to imagine what Serral does from here. He's building nothing but units while behind 15 workers, EG.
Yeah, Serral just feels like he's trying to get Rogue to mess up somehow, but it doesn't happen. Rogue takes the 3-1 over Serral.